Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host, and this is Community Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an outstanding guest with us this evening. As a matter of fact, we're going to be doing part 2 of the program that we did last time. It's Minister William E. Hutchison, Jr. He's a music director at Christian Faith Fellowship Church in Waukegan, Illinois. Good evening, Minister Hutchison.
Good evening, Dr. Brooks.
We're very happy that you literally taken time for your busy schedule to be with us on the Community Forum.
Yes.
Because when I first met you, I knew you were born to excel.
Thank you so much.
And you're going to tell us about that this evening.
Thank you.
For those that didn't see part 1,
Yes.
Tell our listening audience just a little bit about your personal and professional background.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I grew up in Marion Jones housing projects in North Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
My mom, at first she was just a maid, but after my father was murdered a month before my 5th birthday on the south side of Waukegan, she had a nervous breakdown. And during that time when she was hospitalized, we were just children, small children. It was my baby sister had just been born. My younger sister was 3 and I was 4.
Okay.
And she decided to go to college and she got her degree. But all of my childhood, she said, you may live in the projects, but you're not a project kid. She always made me believe that I could excel beyond the circumstances and what my physical eyesight could see. And she reached for her dreams and she encouraged me to reach for mine. And so I went to Western Illinois University.
Leatherneck. Huh?
Fighting Leatherneck, that's right.
I was a Redbird. So.
All right, in the same conference.
Right.
Yes. And I got my degree in studio comprehensive art with emphasis in advertising design. And from then, it took a few years, but I landed a job at Great Lakes Naval Training Center in the payroll department. And it took me 4 years in the payroll department before I finally was able to get in the graphics department. And from the tenure and the time that I was in the graphics department, finally making use of my degree, I was able to design the entire United States Navy recruit graphic curriculum. Wow. And so the Federal Executive Board in May of 2000 named me Federal Employee of the Year for designing the United States Navy curriculum. Harry Porterfield, at this time, who was with Channel 7 News, said William Hutchison is responsible for the graphic vision of the United States recruit curriculum when I was named Federal Employee of the Year. And so I've been now, this year makes 29 years working as a civil servant with my graphic design.
Wow. What has happened in your life since we met last?
Well, amazing, beautiful things have happened, and that my daughter released her first full-length album. She produced it herself, and I was able to step her through the process of starting her own publishing company, copywriting all of her material, helping her buy her own equipment to create her own studio in her bedroom, and her producing her own album and releasing it. And then the single most exciting thing right now is that I am engaged to a beautiful, beautiful young lady named Tina Graves.
Congratulations. I think those that have Facebook have seen you on Facebook.
Yeah.
So very congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You also, tell us about your musical career, though.
I have been very, very fortunate. I always say you have to find a constructive way to deal with destructive feelings.
Okay.
My testimony is that when I was only 11 months of age, I pulled a big black kettle of hot grease on the side of my head and suffered third-degree burns.
Wow, still shows.
That still shows, yes.
Okay.
And from the time that I was 11 months old till I was 14 years old, I had corrective plastic surgeries over a couple of years and everything, but they still could not get rid of the scar. And so I was called everything from hatchet head to flame on torch to Indian scalp 'em. Sometimes kids can be cruel. But what I did was I would draw. I taught myself how to draw, and I taught myself how to play bass guitar on one of those old country and western guitars. And eventually, everything that I did as a child turned into me being able to do it for a living. So I've been very fortunate. I've been able to play bass and open for Tim McGraw. I've been able to travel to Switzerland, Austria, Germany, playing bass with country artists, international black country artist named Casey Williams, who was discovered by Tim McGraw. Okay. And so I toured Switzerland, Zurich, Switzerland, Innsbruck, Austria, Sinsheim, Hanau, Mogendorf, Frankfurt, Cologne, Kassel, Germany. Been all over in Europe playing bass with Mr. Casey Williams, as well as still maintain my career working for the Department of Defense at Great Lakes Naval Training Center.
Wow. You know, I can identify you with you by being young growing up. My mother told me to stay away from, we had one of these potbelly stoves,
Yes.
you know, in the country, you know,
Yes.
where I was raised up in the great state of Mississippi, there,
Wow.
Lexington, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And I backed up into the potbelly stove, and you have something to show in your hand,
Yes.
but I have something to show I can't show.
Okay. I understand.
Well, I backed up again.
Yeah.
So you know, but you're young then, and
Right.
you call it mischievous, you know. But look, tell us a little bit about we're going to get into more into your music ministry as we go along. How did you get involved in the ministry?
Well, God's hand was on my life from the time that I was a young child. I grew up in Mount Sinai Baptist Church, and I was baptized at a very young age. I mean, I go back to when Reverend Kilgore was pastor,
That's
way back in the 60s.
Right.
My mother, Miss Josephine Martin, I have a bass named after her now,
Yes.
named Miss Josephine.
Yes.
But she was one of the church mothers.
Okay.
And then I was actually baptized by Bishop Solomon Smith when he took over after Reverend Kilgore passed.
Okay.
And so I grew up in the church, and I always had a mindset of wanting to please God. And I've been always told that I was an answer to prayer, because when I was burned, everyone in my family just prayed and prayed and prayed for me. So all of my childhood, I had a heart for God. And then when I got older, I could not run from it. I wanted to run from it. I wanted to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
But God's hand was on my life, and even with the scar, He actually helped use that to shape me, because when people would treat me bad or pick on me, I realized I never wanted to cause anyone that kind of pain. So when I saw people with pain, and they're going through their pain, emotional pain, I always wanted to minister to them. So when I did surrender and give my life completely to Christ, I really felt like I had to use every gift that God gave me to in some way build up somebody else's life. I have a saying, why would you hurt what you could have healed?
Okay.
And why would you hinder what you could have helped? I'd rather be a part of your answer and not your problem. So that's my whole mindset with ministry, is that even as God brought me in different places, it says your gift shall make room for you and take you before great men. And so it opened opportunities for me to play abroad and to play quote unquote secular music, but I kept Christ with me everywhere I went. I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't do drugs, and I didn't touch a groupie. I made sure I kept my integrity before Christ wherever I went. And I understand some music reaches up to God,
Okay.
and then some music reaches out to people. But the scripture says to us, with is given the ministry of reconciliation. So whatever people have gone through that week, if I can even play Happy Feelings by Frankie Beverly and Mays on the bass, and that produces a smile on your face. Then haven't I ministered to your mood?
Okay. Well, either Proverbs or Psalms states that laughter is like a medicine to the soul.
So, yes, yes.
Is it?
Amen.
Yeah, right.
Amen. Amen.
So actually, I believe you live longer with laughter
Amen.
than with a frown on your face. So.
Exactly, exactly. So I try to use every gift that I have, especially the music. And then Pastor Moten
Yeah.
saw something special in me and made me music director at Christian Faith Fellowship Church.
Wow.
And now I've been there about 18 years. And I was gone for 2 years, but at least 16 years I have been a part of that church and used my music ministry to help our praise team and also to be a blessing to our congregation.
I can tell, and the listening audience can too, that I may have mentioned to you this before, there are 3 types of people in the world. Those that make things happen, and those that watch things happen, and then there's others that wonder what happened.
Yeah.
So you seem to be a person that make things happen.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been very thirsty and hungry to grow. And I've never been the type of person to say, well, that's just me.
Okay.
You know, because, you know, there's some people that are like that. They can have real bad attitudes and real whatever. And I don't know what took them there, what brought them there. And they'll just say, that's just me. Well, sometimes that's just the problem.
Okay.
I'm one of those type of people that always wants to be and do better. I'm always putting the mirror on myself. What can I do to be better? I've been playing bass now, self-taught for 40 years. Taught myself how to read bass clef and everything else. Your daughter was one of my biggest inspirations. When I was in high school, she was 2 years older than me. She graduated in 1977.
Yes.
Waddell Jr. graduated in 1978.
Right.
And I graduated in 1979. Well, Yolanda had the #1 bass chair on the jazz band.
Okay.
And I used to just wish I could play bass. I would look at her and just, my eyes would be focused on everything she did. And literally, people may not realize it, but they're a part of the fabric that makes you who you are.
Amazing.
So her inspiration was a part of helping make me who I am.
And she still plays bass, but she plays drums.
Yes.
You know, for her church.
Yes.
And her specialty is oboe.
Wow. Yes. Yeah.
She plays oboe now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So mother and father don't know one note. Do re mi fa sol la ti do. You know, is about all that we know. And Waddell, he's the director of music also at the Antioch Baptist Church too in Waukegan.
Yeah.
So we have a musical.
Family.
And Cassandra the director of the
Choir. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I don't know where they got all that music from, but it's a God-given talent.
Amen. And see, music to me is a language.
Okay.
And it's energy. And it's funny how you can have a certain mood, put on certain music, and it can change your mood.
Oh yeah.
It has the power to inspire, and that is a beautiful thing. It's like I said, it's a language. And so I use music as a way of expressing myself. Now I draw, I paint, all of that.
Oh.
And I've done sculptures and all of that. I was a student of Preston Jackson, who is now a professor at the Art Institute of Chicago.
Okay.
And one of the most amazing, world's best artists in my book. He's just amazing. And he was one of my professors in college. He was also my martial arts instructor. I earned my black belt through Sifu Preston Jackson. But he also did, he just in so many ways inspired me. Adele Crump was an African-American art director who worked for Dickens Design Group in Chicago. And he took time to sit and mentor me and look at my work and encourage me. I was so inspired by him, I went back to school and made the dean's list. I'd never done that before, but there were different people in my life that helped me achieve my dreams and inspire me to believe I could go further. And when I ran out of money in college and I was one class short of my degree, Mrs. Leslie Shapiro, Leslie and Eddie Shapiro, she was my 8th grade reading teacher. She paid for my last semester of college.
Is that right?
I would not have my bachelor's degree if it were not for Leslie Shapiro. So if anyone sees any greatness or anything inspirational in me, it's because I was inspired by great people who surrounded me, and you were one of those people. My father was murdered before I turned 5, but I've always seen you in the community, and I've always seen you as a black man making a difference, and you're still making that difference. And so you never know who is watching you. It says, mark the perfect man, for the end of that man is peace. That excellence that I saw in you helped shape me to be the young man I am today.
Wow, thank you very much. And it's amazing how we met, too.
Yes, yeah.
Golden Corral,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You knew my son. I can
Yeah.
say you went to school with him,
Yeah.
came over and spoke, and we started talking. And from that day, I arranged.
Yes, that's true.
We did the radio, didn't we? Did we do radio or just the TV?
We did the TV.
We just
Yeah.
And made a scheduled date for a TV show, and
That's
I didn't
right.
even know you.
Yes, that's right.
And it turned out my ratings went sky high.
Wow. Wow, I didn't know that. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I hope they can blow through the roof, knock the roof off.
You know, character matters, right?
Amen. Amen. It's everything. It's everything.
Right.
And right now, especially in the times that we're living in, with all that's going on in the White House and all that's going on with Congress and the divisiveness, the partisanship, and just the news. If you just hear about all of the gunshots and the murders in Chicago every weekend, so many people hurting and discouraged, and some feel hopeless, some feel helpless. I feel that the gospel is still good news. You know, that Jesus died for my sins. He changed my life. He washed them away, and then he changed my character. And out of what he's given me, I want to share that with others, not with a finger pointed, but with a hand extended, because the motive behind the method, the motive behind the message is love. And not judgment, not condemnation. One of my heroes in my life too was Johnny Johnson. He was a wrestler for North Chicago High School. He graduated in 1969. He was a state champion, undefeated at 180 pounds.
Oh, I remember Johnny Johnson.
Yeah.
He was on the police force too, wasn't he?
Well, he worked for the Lake County Community Watch.
Okay.
So he was the watch coordinator for Lake County.
Okay.
But he was a state champion wrestler, and his dad, Joe Johnson, used to take me to all of his and Larry, his younger brother, wrestling meets.
Okay.
And they were state qualifiers, and Johnny won state championship. But they're different people. He got me started fishing. And one of the things that I like about fishing was that it taught me patience. Mm-hmm. And it taught me that there's a purpose behind everything you do. Mm-hmm. And one thing I realized even about fishing is that I can't clean a fish I haven't caught yet.
Okay,
I don't break out my fillet knife while the fish is still on the line. I have to catch it first. Okay. And sometimes that could be a problem with sometimes us church folk. We love people and we want to see everybody touched and changed and all of that. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you break out the knife while you ain't got the fish on the boat yet.
Okay. Okay.
Take your time, let God work with them, deal with them, but just show them love and reach out to them. And if they hear, and that word has a ability to transform and change their life. And hopefully we can use the music to help facilitate that too.
If you don't mind my telling a joke right now pertains to fishing, a pastor had the cussingest deacon he ever had, and he told the deacon, "You can't continue this because you drive people away from the church, and we try to drive people in the church." So you mentioned fishing, so we say, "Well, I think I'll take him fishing. You go fishing, you can concentrate, and so forth." So what happened? A pastor put a bait on his line and threw it out in the water and got a big fish right away.
Yeah.
And he was reeling this fish in,
Yeah.
and he got where he could reach out to get the fish, and for some reason, the fish got off the hook and swam away.
Yeah.
And the pastor looked at the deacon. He said, "Deacon, something ought to be said."
But I'm not going to say it. Right. But I won't say it.
So we're moving along.
Yes,
moving along. I had to get that one out there.
That's a good one.
You mentioned about fishing, But I want to know about your work in the ministry. You mentioned about your music and so forth, but you mentioned you were given a duty by the pastor.
Yeah.
And you also been going to the Lake County Jail in the ministry?
How
important is?
For 6.5, 7 years,
Wow.
I was a member of our ministry team that went every third Sunday to Lake County Jail.
Uh-huh.
And some of the most amazing experiences of my life happened with that sacrifice. Because as you study the word and as you reach deep into the word and you're motivated by love to share a word that's going to transform someone's life or give them a different way of looking at their life and themselves and their purpose, that God keeps imparting knowledge and wisdom to you. I have a saying, words spoken are a bridge extended. They literally link minds and hearts. They don't just give information, they can give inspiration.
Okay.
So in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was made flesh. That word God used that made flesh was his Son. And he used the Son to reconcile us back to him. So my prayer is that, Lord, empty me of me, and then you use me for your glory to reach and touch someone else.
Beautiful.
And I grew tremendously by just my preparation and getting ready to go minister on every third Sunday when I got to share the word with people. Right now we're not doing that, but we temporarily stopped. But we want to get back to that because it's so necessary. It's so necessary.
So actually, knowledge is power, right?
Yes.
But we have to have parental guidance. How important is parental guidance in raising children?
It's critical. But we're living in times where dysfunction has become the norm. And so, even Jesus said when he was crucified, he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do."
Okay.
Well, there's a lot of dysfunction with our youth because of dysfunctional relationships between the parents. And it's one thing to be born 10 yards out from the American dream, from your gold medal. It's another thing to not even be born on the track. And you have to jump the hurdles of racism.
Okay.
And the hurdles of inheriting the curse of people demeaning your worth and acting like you don't matter. And yet there's only so much souls can take before people are broken. And I think that so many people have become broken and they don't know how to get healed. And I just know that healing is the children's bread, and God offers us that healing through his word. So all of the kids that are friends to my kids, they call me dad. And I don't run from that responsibility. I say whatever difference I can make with whatever young person. I have a young child right now. He's 15 years old. He comes to my church. I mentor him as he wants to play drums. And I talk to him about what is a good drummer. And I play bass right next to him to help him understand and gain in his experience. And also he plays keyboards. So as people come to you, then be willing to invest in them, because it's not time wasted. Mm-hmm. So many people see any expense as just an expense, but we have to change the way we look at that and say, no, this is not an expense. This is an investment, because I'm pouring something into a young soul that they can pour into another one as they get older. But someone did that for me, so it's my obligation to pay that forward to the next generation.
So I was thinking while you were talking, what you're doing is sowing seeds.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Now, some going to be on good ground.
Yeah.
Some going to be on stony ground, you know. But it's your job to sow.
That's
seeds.
right. Exactly. It's all our job.
Okay.
But I cannot let what someone else does or doesn't do stop me from doing what's in my heart to do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sometimes what can happen is people can look at, well, they're not doing this. I'm not going to do. I have a saying that don't find the right reason to get wrong.
Okay.
Don't find a justification to have a foul or a bad attitude, mm-hmm. or to pull back and don't give or don't share or don't encourage. But some people suffer from the affliction I call medicated mediocrity. Mm-hmm. And medicated mediocrity means if I can find a flaw in you, mm-hmm. then that can help me feel better about me. Mm-hmm. 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 But I understand this thing ain't between me and them. It's between me and him. So I have to answer to him. So whether people support you, whether people believe in you, whether people become cynical, that's on them. That's them. I have to keep my mind right, my heart right, so I can be a vessel. One thing my martial arts teacher, Preston Jackson, taught me, he said that a purpose of a cup lies within its emptiness.
Okay.
All right, and I'll give you an example. Whenever I got a little too proud of myself because I learned a new technique, okay, I could do something fancy. He's like, oh man, you really, you doing good. Come on to the center of the room. Okay. We're gonna spar.
Okay.
And after he got through whooping me upside my head, okay, he said, now get back in line. Because what he did was empty my cup, because I was so full of myself and what I thought I knew.
God can only use you when you empty yourself.
That's it.
Right?
Exactly.
Get self out of the way.
Get self out the way. Let him have his way. Okay. Then not my will be done, but thy will be done, like Jesus said, you know. Okay. And so in that, I just want more people to just have the mindset, I want to make an investment in this next generation. Don't get so wrapped up. The thing that's amazing is when you get wrapped up in you and it's about you, then when you get offended, then you walk away from the church. When you get offended, then you get mad. When you get, no, it's not about you. But if you empty yourself and say, Lord, fill me, and then you use me for your glory, you realize it's not about you, but through you, his kingdom come. Through you, his will be done. Through you. Whether that be music, whether that be art, whether that be preaching, whether that be singing, it's about him. And if we put our inner condition ahead of before him, ahead of our position before men. But see, some people, well, I'm this. God ain't impressed with your title. You know, one of the things, can I share a quick story?
This is your program.
Preston Jackson, my martial arts teacher.
Okay.
He did something really amazing. For many years, I had just an orange belt.
Okay.
Now, friends I went to school with and that I started martial arts with in college, they were going to different schools and they would get their belts. They were getting a white belt to yellow belt to orange belt to blue belt to purple belt to brown belt, and they were just moving on. Well, years after I had started, I'm still an orange belt. And so one time he had our school spar against another school. And this guy was a 3rd-degree red belt. I mean, he could kick that I was supposed to fight. He could stand up and kick and then go in a circle and never bring his foot down. I mean, he was like Bruce Lee. I mean, so I was like, oh, I'm scared. I can't fight this guy. He's just way beyond me. And so he said, yeah, no, you got to fight him. And then after I won, what he did was he illustrated to me I was learning more than I thought I had. But he wanted my faith to be in the techniques that I was learning and not in a belt. And so that's the same way. Sometimes people get so caught up in titles and whatnot. That don't mean anything. What matters is, can I live this word? Because you could say, I'm Bishop so-and-so, I'm Apostle such and such. And that don't impress people. They want to see the love. You know, now, if I'm got all these titles and I'm cussing them out, and I'm trying to sleep with their wife and any of that stuff, they're looking at it like, why would I even want to be bothered with that? You know, so they don't even want to be bothered with it but not everyone that loves God is a hypocrite. Some people really do love God, and they want to make a difference in the lives of others.
We talk about what attracts young people. And you mentioned the greatest of all, and that's love.
Yeah.
Love is not love until you give it away.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
But youngsters are looking for discipline.
Yeah.
They're looking for attention too, right?
Yep.
And so we're gonna have to know what they're looking for in order to be able to, because if they could get those, we probably have less problems than we have today. We've had shootings all over the country. As a matter of fact, just today in Cincinnati, right? Down at the huge shopping area, a gunman killed 3 people, well, one was himself, you know. But what did he gain by killing people, then killing himself?
Yeah.
Something is wrong there, you know.
That speaks directly to people being broken and people feeling hopeless. And like I said, you know, that's where music, that's where our relationship with God, that's where even your program, what you're doing is you're sowing seed into the community. You're saying this is a community forum, and there's someone in this community I think you need to know. I would like to introduce you to. Because right now, good men aren't getting any good press.
Okay.
You know, the only thing that's making the news, who decided that news is just going to be bad news? You know, there's a song that a guy did named Don Henley, who used to be a lead singer for the Eagles. He said, you got the bubble-headed bleach blonde. She comes on at 5. She can tell you about the plane crash with a gleam in her eye. It's interesting when people die because we love dirty laundry. Did you get the innuendo? Is the head dead yet? You know, the boys in the newsroom, they got a running bet. Get that widow off the set because we need dirty laundry. You kick them when they're up, you kick them when they're down, you kick them in the shins, you kick them all around. Now that he made an expression artistically about a mentality that's a reality. And so I listen to what people do. I don't just nod my head and just, wow, that's a nice groove. I literally listen to what they're saying.
Okay.
And the scriptures say, be all things to all men that I might win some.
Okay.
Because if I can tell them where they're at and I can relate to where they are, then they're like, okay, well, what's beyond that? It's one thing to tell them their problem. It's another thing to offer them an answer. Some people think you're deep just because you can tell them where they are. No, I can tell you where you are. I can tell you where I was. But look where God brought me. And he's no respecter of person. The way he's blessed me, he wants to be a blessing to you.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was thinking about Oh boy, how did you escape your peer group? Now you said you were in
That's a great question. That's a good question.
Marion Jones, right? And
Yeah.
so look what happened. Marion Jones was destroyed here, but another project is coming up.
Right.
It had been there for 50 years.
Yeah.
Now it's a new one. So I was looking. It looks like the same type of housing that was there.
Wow.
So.
How did I escape my peer group?
I'll let you tell it because I'm looking at you're either in a storm, you're going through a storm, or you're coming out of a storm. We have to convince not only youngsters but everybody that.
Well,
but back to your rainforest.
Well,
how did you escape?
that's an amazing question. That's a profound question. The truth is, there were some good people that never got any press. Even though we lived in the projects, I remember just 2 doors down from me, Pat Chancellor,
Okay.
who lived at 1405 Prospect.
Okay.
And then I remember Betty Ann Hanna and her kids, Patricia Ann Hanna and Elliot Hanna. Elliot was my best friend as a kid growing up.
Okay.
He could run fast and we could just zippity-doo-dah around there. I remember right behind me were all of the hoods, Darnell Hood and Maine Hood and everything like that. And the thing is there were still some good people, even though they were going through some tough things. I remember one time when I was like 12, 13 years old, I wanted to hang with the cool dudes. Okay. So one day I'm in a carload of guys and I'm finally feeling like I'm accepted. They're not saying Billy Ball.
Those are your role models?
You know what I'm saying? That's all I had. You talk about my peers, right?
Right.
Well, check this out. This is amazing. The oldest one who was driving the car was Maine Hood, Henry Hood, Maine, the oldest. They were about to get into something. This is just the truth. They were about to get up to something. Okay. And they said, Billy, man, we're going to take you home because where we going, you don't need to be. So even then, they saw something in me. Okay. And they still respected me and said, I'm going to take you home. And then I still did not get it. Even when I went to college, I flunked out my first year. I'm like, and my mom was so upset. She was like, this boy has so much potential. He could do so much, but he don't get it. He don't realize it. And I met Adele Crump. She used to take the train with him. And he was a black man running an advertising agency. All of the Count Chocula, all of the Frankenberry, all of the General Mills food that I was eating out of. What kind of kids eat Armour hot dogs, Kraft cheese? This man had designed all of this stuff, a black man from Beach Park. Wow. And she used to take the train with him. And so, because I'd never seen anyone do these great things, I went to Chicago, made an appointment, had all of my portfolio of my artwork, and here he had a secretary that, Mr. Hutchison, we've been expecting you. I'm like, I'm just looking around like, are you talking to me? Then he comes out, Bill, he's got a 3-piece suit on, he shakes my hand. I was so touched by that. I went back to school and made the dean's list. Wow. But I had an example. So that's my point, is that I am so grateful for the good examples. And then I would try, I was so hungry as a kid. I wanted to be a good man. And then I became a father, and then I went through a divorce, but my kids wanted to stay with me, and I took care of my kids.
So they saw something in Dad.
Exactly, but I see something
Role
in
model.
them, my son now, he'll be 29 next month. He's a bodybuilder. He's doing well for himself. Just got him a new car. He's happy about that. My daughter, she's graduated from DePaul University, and she's got her own music album out. She's going to be your guest next week, Rachel Yvonne.
Okay.
We have her down for the 13th.
Okay.
I know you might not have your calendar with you.
Yeah, right. We have to. Okay, go ahead while I'm checking.
Right. But yeah, she's got her own album out, and she just released her third music video from her album.
13th
Of September. Yep.
I'll have to make a note for myself. Again.
Yeah, we were at North Chicago Community Days.
Yeah,
and we were.
I give you a call.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It will. Make
Yes,
sure.
sir.
What have I got on the
Yep.
schedule? She'll be there.
All righty.
Okay.
But we try to use every gift that God gave me to try to overcome. Now, like I said, how did I escape my peers?
Yeah.
My mom, like I said, ever since I was a kid, she had me believe that there's so much more to life than just what you see in front of you. Mm-hmm. So when she got vacation time, she would take us to Chicago, and we got to go into the Sears building and all of the different skyscrapers and to see the sculptures. And we saw. She took us to the Museum of Science and Industry.
Okay.
She took us to the Art Institute. So she exposed us to different things. Now, another thing my mom did that really expanded my mind was in music.
Mm.
My mom was so amazing. She graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Communications.
Oh.
She graduated from Columbia College in Chicago.
Okay.
She graduated with a 4-year degree in 3 years.
Wow.
With honors.
Hmm.
Blew my mind. And raising 3 kids as a single mom.
Wow.
It's one of the most amazing things ever.
Yeah.
And so she made it out. And the thing about it, she started working as a public affairs director for a radio station. And they were FM 100, the beautiful music radio station. Mm-hmm. And so they only played like elevator music. But all of the record labels were sending all of their music to the radio station, hoping they would change their format. So she would bring those albums home. So here I'm in the projects, and I'm listening to James Taylor, I'm listening to Aretha Franklin and James Brown, mm-hmm. and Dionne Warwick, but then I'm also listening to Joni Mitchell, which blew my mind. I never heard someone so naked about their expression of their hurt, their pain, and their disappointment, that here I was 12 years old listening to this lady and her poetry, and it so touched me, I still remember word for word the entire album.
Wow.
I mean, I could quote to you a song from that album just from memory, because mm-hmm. it so inspired me, it touched me. And then that became the basis of me being able to reach out musically and play for all these different artists, because I could hear it in my head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was a part of what helped me escape the peers, is to have a vision beyond them.
You mentioned that you grew up Marion Jones, right? And
yes, sir.
There was, in Chicago, there's Cabrini Green, Robert Taylor Holmes, the former Cabrini Green, I should say.
Yeah.
And former Robert Taylor Holmes.
Ida B. Wells.
Ida B. Wells, okay. Now, there are 2 people, outstanding people that I know of here. A lot of people came out of those homes,
Mm-hmm.
But attorney Jennifer Witherspoon.
Yes.
She came out of Robert Taylor Homes.
Okay.
You know, and just a few doors down from her.
4300.
Yeah.
Near Dorothy Tillman's area. In that area.
Right.
Yeah.
And she didn't know it at this time, but Chris Ayers,
yes,
the limo
yes.
owner,
right
down the hall from her, didn't know it until they got both of them successful.
Wow.
Came here.
Wow.
In Waukegan.
She won Most Influential African American through Soaring Eagle Publications, through Elroy Reed's publication in 2007, which was the same year I won for Arts and Entertainment.
Okay.
It's Chris Ayers.
Chris Harris,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Now she's the owner of
Her own limousines.
limousine
service.
service.
Yes.
So it's amazing how God works, you know. And she said she didn't know who she was until they started talking,
Yes.
and they found out. Say, hey, that's right down the hall from
Right,
you.
right,
you know,
right,
this
right.
type of thing, you know.
Right.
So
right.
you never know. In all that you've given us, where there's no vision,
The
people perish.
Yes.
Right? And you've given us many examples of that.
Thank you.
You have to have vision.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And I have to congratulate you for that. And you've touched so many lives too.
Thank you. Well, you know, one of the people that is helping me crystallize that vision is my fiance, Tina Graves.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be our next topic.
Yes.
So we might as well cover that now.
Yeah,
you know.
she really
It's amazing.
is an amazing
You
woman.
meet people, yeah.
Yeah, amazing woman, and God blessed me with her. And the thing that's funny, when we went on our first date, you know, I told her right from the beginning. I said, you know, I'm not looking for a girlfriend.
Okay.
I'm looking for a wife.
Okay.
And she said, well, you know, I'd hate to lose you. Because you seem like a nice guy, but I'm not looking for no husband. And, but I knew she was special from day one.
Okay.
And then also she's got some skills. She types 100 words a minute. So she's
Oh, is that right?
she's helping me with my little book.
Oh.
I had gotten so far in it, and then my hard drive crashed, and I lost everything.
Okay.
So she's helping me with put that together, and I'm trying to do a book called Living in the Fifth Dimension,
Okay.
and that's based on what I call the 5 Ds of development.
Mm-hmm.
And I use different scenarios and situations from my life about if you can have a dream, make a decision, follow direction, keep your discipline, you can reach your destination. So
Okay.
she's helping me with that right now.
It's amazing how God has put you together.
Yes.
And she probably had gleam in her eyes too, you know.
She
but
does
you just
now.
didn't know it.
Yeah, she
But-
does now.
For sure. you
Yeah.
know. And I think she's the secretary to the mayor, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
she
so
sure is.
She has a probably interesting story to tell too.
Yes,
And
yeah.
maybe,
She'd be a worthwhile guest.
yeah, I was thinking about that. Thank you very much. For, so I was thinking of your jail ministry. How do you feel that we mentioned that you're sowing seeds there,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and is there, you think you're making a worthwhile contribution there?
Well, we did for a season, and it was a beautiful difference. But I have gone through some things too with my health. I lost my mom in 1997
Okay.
from complications of diabetes and heart failure. And she was only 53 years old when she passed.
Oh, yeah, for young. Yeah.
Yes, very young. And September 10th, today is the 6th, I think.
Yeah.
In 4 days, I will be 57.
Okay.
But I've had 2 serious bouts with heart failure where I was out of work for like 4 months, the first attack I had.
Okay.
And then I had an attack from December 2016 all the way through May of 2017, where I was off work. And because I'm a civil service employee, I work for the Department of Defense.
Yeah.
I didn't qualify for any Section 8. I didn't qualify for any public food, housing, anything, health, anything. When you work for the civil service, either you have the sick leave or the annual leave, or people donate you leave. But if they don't donate you leave, I was literally without any income for that period of time.
Wow.
And my heart function had gotten down to only like 30%. And so I'm thinking I might have to retire with disability. And then the very last test before they were going to put in a defibrillator pacemaker, even the doctor said, I can't believe this. Your heart function's up to 63%.
Oh my goodness.
You can go back to work. this is amazing.
That didn't happen.
That's very,
What is that? Only God.
only God. Only
God.
God.
Right, right.
And then he brought me this beautiful woman.
You know, I'm without a wife this week
Yes.
because she's visiting her, and I agreed for her to go. Her brother in Mississippi, the same thing. He has defibrillator.
Yeah.
And I agreed that she should go down and see him because
Yeah.
she may not, you know, may
serious.
not be around for very long. But she calls me regular basis naturally, and so he's doing fine.
That's good.
Matter of fact, he's taking them out, and we said we went to Shoney's today, and we went here, and we went there, and so
That's great news.
So he's doing okay. But had she not gone, and something happened, you know,
Right. Oh, yeah.
and she never would have lived it down, you know.
That's it.
But like I say, it's only God. And I would go back to my original. I say you were born to excel.
Thank you, sir.
So
Really, thank you so
There's no
much.
doubt about that. And you are a great role model for those in the music industry.
Thank you.
It is because I always seeing you on Facebook.
Well, you know, God really blew my mind because when I got back from Germany,
Okay.
I happened to just send a personal email to the owner at Lakeland Bass Guitars because a friend of mine had one.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I would love to represent your company. I just got back from Germany. And next thing I know, I'm on their website. They have built me now 8 bass guitars. And then when I was seen on their website, a company out of Denmark saw my picture and liked it and said, listen, would you let us use your picture and check out our amp? And if you like it, we will put you on our website.
Wow.
So next thing you know, out of Denmark, they sent me this amp system, just wanted me to use it, and they let me play it. And next thing you know, all other kind of opportunities presented itself. Right now, I'm with David Northchild Amplification,
Okay.
which is DNA bass amps. I was actually featured in Bass Musician magazine, which was like, I cannot believe this. This is something I would look at bass players in magazines as a kid, and for them to finally, in July, they made me the DNA Bass Artist of the Month, and they put me in Bass Musician magazine. So
Congratulations.
my encouragement to these kids is, listen, if you can dare to have a dream, it can come true, but be willing to invest in it. Be willing to take the time. A lot of times, people may know what they want to do, they don't know how to do it, and then sometimes they think they could do it, but they don't really believe in it. And then what you believe, you can talk, but what you believe in, you can behave. In other words, when I really I believed I could be an artist. I believed I had talent, but I didn't believe in it until I met Preston Jackson and Adele Crump. And then I believed in it. I believed in it so much that instead of me running the streets and chasing girls and everything else, I'd be at Garwood Hall at Western Illinois University. Practicing.
Well, tell me about we're winding down now. This has been a fast program,
Yeah.
but I have to give you opportunity. What is your ultimate goal?
To fulfill my purpose and the reason why God allowed me to live beyond my burn. And I've realized that your purpose is fulfilled in your relationships. When you look at a bird, as an artist, I literally look at birds' wings. I look at the feathers and the shape and how they're engineered.
Okay.
They're designed.
Amazing.
And they're designed with a purpose. Now, this is the thing that's mind-blowing. What I can see was made to have a relationship with what I can't see.
Okay.
There would be no need for those feathers if there was no wind.
Okay.
Our purpose is fulfilled in how we serve other people. My eyes have a job my ears don't have. My nose has a job my mouth doesn't have. My hands, my thumb even has a job my other fingers don't have. You know, literally, there would be no need for a dolphin to have flippers if there were no water.
Okay.
Everything has to have a relationship with something outside of itself.
And that's the reason we have I think in the book of Hebrews 11, I don't know, maybe 11:1, the purpose of, let's see, the wording, I can't get the exact wording, but it said that we should be able to, a church is, we have to be able to live together.
Amen. Amen.
So
Amen.
This is the church.
Fitly joined together.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And that's what church is all about. It's not the building.
No, it's not.
You know.
It's not bricks and mortar. It's your heart.
And we cannot serve God by TV. Ministry.
Mm-hmm.
You'd say we should come together, all races,
Right.
and all groups and so forth. But what I never could understand is that, and this is getting away from a little bit, about why there are so many different ministries.
Yeah.
We got over 3,000 denominations, and we got away from Baptist churches. We got centers now. You're all kind of centers, different names and so forth. But that's not going to get you to our goal, and that's to get to heaven. Well, I Minister Hutchison, I want to thank you very much for taking time for your busy schedule to be with us on Community Forum.
It's my pleasure.
And ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with Minister William E. Hutchison, Jr., minister, music director of the Christian Faith Fellowship Church in Waukegan, Illinois. And he's been sharing with us his ministry, and hopefully he's been planting a seed that others may grow. This has been Community Forum. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.